From the moment Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, it was obvious she wasn't just another rookie. She instantly became the league's golden goose. Attendance at Indiana Fever games soared, averaging more than 17,000 fans at home and selling out on the road. Other teams even moved games to bigger arenas just to keep up with the demand she created. The same story showed up in the ratings. Games without Clark hovered in the low hundreds of thousands, while games with her pulled in millions of viewers, record numbers the league had never seen. Jersey sales flew off shelves, sponsorships climbed, and networks finally had a reason to fight for WNBA broadcast rights. For the first time, women's basketball was trending in mainstream sports conversations, and it was all because of her. Clark wasn't just a scorer, she was an economic engine, drawing new fans and reshaping the league's future. But instead of protecting and building around her, the WNBA acted like her impact was just another statistic. That mistake would come back to haunt them. While fans were celebrating Clark's rise, not everyone in the league was happy about it. Many WNBA veterans saw the spotlight shift overnight and felt pushed into the shadows. For years, they had worked hard without recognition, only to watch Clark step in and immediately dominate the headlines. The resentment wasn't always about her skills. It was about what she represented: mainstream attention, media coverage, and money flowing into the league because of one player. Comments from figures like Cheryl Swoops questioned the legitimacy of her records, while Angel Reese often turned the conversation into a rivalry, feeding the perception that jealousy was building inside the league. To these players, it felt unfair that one rookie could suddenly overshadow everything they had done. But fans didn't tune in for bitterness, they tuned in for Clark's deep threes and electric energy. And instead of embracing her popularity as a rising tide that could lift all boats, some players fueled division. That resentment didn't stay in press conferences, it carried straight onto the court, where Clark became the target of more than just defense. The resentment quickly turned physical. Night after night, Clark faced a level of contact that went far beyond normal defense. Elbows to the ribs, shoves after the whistle, and body checks that looked more like hockey than basketball became routine. And what did the referees do? Almost nothing. Calls that should have been automatic were ignored. And the message was clear: Clark was fair game. This wasn't just bad luck, it was negligence. The league's most valuable player was being targeted, and no one stepped in to protect her. Every cheap shot raised the risk that something serious would happen. And fans watching at home noticed. Social media lit up with clips of Clark being hit and battered while officials swallowed their whistles. The situation created a dangerous narrative that the WNBA would rather let players teach her a lesson than shield the one athlete driving their record growth. And eventually, the outcome everyone feared arrived. Clark was sidelined and the league was forced to face the consequences of leaving their star unprotected. The moment Clark went down, the entire WNBA felt the shockwave. Ratings that had been soaring suddenly collapsed. Games featuring her averaged over 1 million viewers, but without her, the numbers sank to under 400,000. That wasn't a dip, it was a free fall. Ticket sales followed the same path. Seats that once sold out weeks in advance were suddenly empty, resale markets crashed, and entire sections of arenas stayed unsold. Even merchandise took a hit, as jersey orders and team gear slowed to a crawl. Sponsors who had been eager to cash in on the Caitlin Clark effect were suddenly hesitant, realizing their investment depended on one player's availability. The league tried to spin it as business as usual, but fans weren't fooled. Social media was filled with frustration, and many declared they wouldn't watch until Clark returned. The WNBA wasn't just losing a star, it was losing its momentum, and with every game she missed, the league's dependence in her became impossible to ignore. When the fallout became impossible to ignore, Stephen A. Smith stepped in, and he didn't hold back. On national television, he tore into the WNBA's handling of Caitlin Clark. He accused the league of negligence, pointing out that no other professional sport would allow its top draw to be battered without protection. He highlighted how Clark wasn't just another rookie. She was the reason millions were suddenly watching women's basketball, the reason arenas were selling out, and the reason sponsors were opening their wallets. And yet, the league had failed to safeguard her. His words cut through the noise, forcing the uncomfortable truth into the spotlight. The WNBA had allowed jealousy and resentment to overshadow business sense. Smith's eruption wasn't just commentary, it was a wake-up call. For fans, it validated what they'd already seen. For the league, it was a public shaming. And for Clark, it was the clearest sign yet that she was carrying more than just her team. She was carrying the entire sport on her back. To understand the WNBA's failure, you only have to look across the street at the NBA. When stars like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Steph Curry entered the league, they weren't just players, they were assets the NBA went out of its way to protect. Officiating adjusted, marketing campaigns centered around them, and every effort was made to maximize their appeal. Why? Because the league knew its future depended on them. The NBA never risked its icons by letting bitterness dictate the game. Contrast that with the WNBA's approach to Caitlin Clark. Instead of promoting her as the face of a new era, they let rivalries and resentment take the wheel. Instead of ensuring her safety, they treated her like any other rookie, ignoring the reality that her presence was rewriting the league's history. The NBA embraced its stars and thrived. The WNBA neglected its brightest light and stumbled. The difference wasn't just strategy, it was survival instinct, and the WNBA seemed to lack it. Caitlin Clark's rise, and the backlash that followed, left the WNBA standing at a crossroads. On one path, the league could embrace her stardom, protect her, and use her popularity as a foundation to grow women's basketball into a true mainstream sport. On the other path, they could continue down the road of jealousy, neglect, and short-sighted decisions that alienated fans and squandered momentum. The choice might seem obvious, but history showed it wasn't guaranteed. Many leagues in the past had seen golden opportunities slip away because they failed to recognize the value of their stars. For the WNBA, the test was whether they could learn quickly enough. Fans were watching, sponsors were deciding where to spend, and players were realizing how much one rookie had shifted the landscape. If the league got it right, this could be the beginning of a golden era. If they got it wrong, it could be remembered as the moment they let it all slip away. While the league wavered, the fans made their stance clear. They weren't interested in politics, jealousy, or debates over who deserved attention. They wanted to see Caitlin Clark play. Ticket data told the story. Arenas filled when she was on the court and emptied when she was sidelined. TV numbers mirrored that pattern, soaring with her presence and crashing without it. Social media amplified every highlight she produced, clips racking up millions of views in hours. And when Clark was targeted with cheap shots, fans erupted online, demanding accountability from referees and the league itself. For years, the WNBA had struggled to expand its fan base, but now, a rookie had done what marketing campaigns never could. She made people care. The fans weren't asking for special treatment, they were asking for common sense. Protect the player who brought them to the game. By ignoring that plea, the league wasn't just risking Clark's health, it was risking the loyalty of the very audience it had spent decades trying to build. In the end, the Caitlin Clark saga revealed more than just one player's impact. It exposed the WNBA's greatest challenge. The league had been given a gift, a rookie who could draw record crowds, command national attention, and finally make women's basketball a fixture in mainstream sports. But instead of protecting that gift, they let resentment dictate the narrative. The lesson is simple but critical. Stars are the lifeblood of any league. Without them, there are no sold-out arenas, no surging TV ratings, no sponsors lining up. The NBA understood this truth and built dynasties around it. The WNBA must do the same or risk losing everything Clark has brought. Because if history repeats itself and the league allows jealousy and negligence to drive her away, it won't just lose one player, it will lose the future she represents. The golden goose only lays eggs for as long as it's cared for, and the WNBA now has to decide if it's ready to learn that lesson.